Let's turn though to what is being described as an uneven recovery so far. While we had a contraction in 2021, there were signs, particularly in the first 2 quarters, of a recovery, but it's uneven. And now we've got an Omicron wave as well. The fear is service sector, hospitality, certain sectors have been particularly badly hit. Professor Arun Kumar, you mentioned micro enterprises, informal sector badly hit. Given that this is this W-shaped, as they are now calling it, uneven recovery, what's the solution?
So, recovery would require that we support the economy, especially as we were discussing in the first part, increase demand. If we are unable to increase demand, then investment is not going to rise, and capacity utilization was below 70% as per the RBI data. And that is only the organized sector capacity utilization. So even the organized sector was not fully recovered from the pre-pandemic level. And the consumer sentiment was very low. The figures that came last were about 55 as compared to 105 when in the pre-pandemic, January 2020. So we have to raise consumer sentiment as well as capacity utilization for the economy to recover. Now, that would require, as we discussed in the earlier part, a boost in the purchasing power at the lower levels. So that has to be the priority rather than anything else. Now, how do we do that? And that's why I was saying that we need to raise resources to transfer funds there. There we have to admit that the direct taxes are paid effectively by 15 million people, as the Prime Minister himself said. So in a country of 1.4 billion, if 15 million are effective taxpayers, then giving tax concession is not going to boost consumption. The middle class, that is rather the lower middle class or the middle class, is not really paying very much tax. So any concession there will be only a minor thing. So that's why we've been talking about employment generation as the key, so that brings in the lower segments also back up into the demand calculus. They are the ones who are losing out. They are the ones.
No, so you're suggesting some kind of a tax hike, is it?
Yes. So I'm suggesting that, we have to raise direct taxes from those who've done very well in the last 2 years, whether because of the increase in their wealth, because of the stock market, or because of other reasons, because the organized sector has done well, because the unorganized sector demand has shifted there. So the corporate profits, as per the RBI survey, have been rising at 22%. That means the pricing power of the corporate sector has improved. So in spite of the cost increases, they have raised prices and they've been able to generate more profit as a result of the thing. So that's where I think the taxation has to come in and raise resources.
You've raised the contentious issue, Siddharth. You wanted to respond to that. You don't agree with this at all?
No, I think approaching it from an ideological perspective, that because corporates are making more profits, that's why they should be taxed, I won't agree with that. I think tax breaks are given to stimulate consumption, and Professor Kumar would agree with me, consumption happens with those who have some surplus income. So if the argument is to increase consumption, we perhaps need to give those people a break, sir. For example, for last 3 years, everyone's health expenditure has gone up. You have not a single rupees break to those people. Instead, you have health insurance premiums every year being taxed at an absurd service tax rate. How do you justify that?
So how would you resolve that? You're saying that the middle class is the one that needs
farm sector reforms have been lost for the time being. Yes. So let's forget taxing agriculture income. I'm not even bringing that up. I think there is clear-cut logic to rationalize GST also, which is outside the budget, and look at a fairer direct tax regime where corporates did get a big break in September 2019, and now the middle class, the tax-paying class, needs some relief. It's 3 years of the pandemic.
What? Give me an example.
Why not give them a greater set-off? Please allow for greater allowances when it comes to even work-from-home expenditure on digital. Everybody is paying more for bandwidth. Give people that ability to have some surplus income which they can save and spend. You cannot keep taxing. As far as corporates is concerned and the market argument, this year perhaps the market collection for next year, I believe that the target will be enhanced to at least 25,000 crore because volumes are up. So my limited point is that we cannot approach it from an ideological perspective. We have to look at the rational ability of people to pay, who else do you tax then?
Let Dr. Ranade respond for a moment. You want to dive into this debate about where, how do you provide relief to the middle class? Do you tax those who apparently, according to Professor Arun Kumar, have benefited the most in the last 2 years?
Rajdeep, can I just clarify what I said?
Yes, very quickly, please.
Yeah, very quickly, as I said, the Prime Minister himself said that 15 million people are effective direct taxpayers. The rest either pay very little tax or, zero tax in their, returns that they file. So if you give a tax concession at this point in income tax, that'll go basically to the well-off sections who already are making a lot of income. Hardly, very little will go to the middle classes where you want to boost, and hardly anything will go to the lower classes. So lower classes will benefit only if the indirect taxes are reduced or you put money in their hand.
You're talking about taxing those, right?